For 20 years, James and his wife, Eunice, lived in a quiet house by the riverbank in the small town of Yola. They had been married for a very long time, yet their home was silent, like a forgotten grave. No child. No laughter. No sound of a baby crying. Only the river's soft murmur behind the house. Every morning, when the sun was still shy in the sky, Eunice would slowly walk to the river. She would kneel, place her hand gently on her stomach, and whisper, "Spirits of the earth, please bless me with just one child before I leave this world." She said it the same way each day, whether it was raining, hot, or cold. Her voice was always calm but soaked in sorrow. James often sat behind her, quiet. He no longer prayed. He simply watched her and let out a long, tired sigh, like a worn-out breeze. People in the town began to murmur. Some whispered, "Her womb is sealed with chains." Others joked, "Maybe it's James. Maybe he swallows his children in his dreams." But James and Eunice never responded. They continued trying. They moved from hospital to hospital. Doctors ran every test and always said the same thing, medically, there's nothing wrong. So they turned to spiritual homes. Prophets would anoint Eunice's belly with oil, press her forehead, and scream, "Receive your baby now," in fire, until she collapsed to the ground like a dried banana leaf. But all they got was dizziness and headaches. They later visited a traditional healer. His beard dragged like old rope, and his voice rumbled like distant thunder. He gave them herbs so bitter they made their faces twist. "This one opened a wound drier than cracked soil," he said. Eunice drank. James drank. They believed it would work. But after 1 month, Eunice's stomach remained as flat as a calm stone in the river. Still no sign of life. Then someone advised midnight bathing in the river. They carried calabashes, recited strange incantations, even walked backwards under the full moon. But the moon said nothing. It just stared, quiet and cold. Others told them to sow a seed. James sold his only motorcycle, the same one he used to carry firewood to the market. "God will notice our offering," he told Eunice. She went into a long dry fast. No food. No water. 14 days. Her lips cracked, her hands trembled. Yet she kept saying, "Maybe God wants to see more suffering." As the years passed, the sorrow in James and Eunice's home grew like weeds during the rainy season. In the 15th year of their marriage, they met a preacher. His robe flowed to the ground, and his face was hard to read. He looked at Eunice and said, "The only way for you to conceive a child is if you sleep with me. It is a spiritual agreement." Eunice's eyes widened in shock. Her legs gave way, and she dropped to the floor, weeping like a baby. "No," she cried. "I can't. I won't." That night, she held on to James and cried quietly. They didn't exchange a single word. They just sat beside the river, listening to the frogs croak into the night. From that moment on, they stopped visiting anyone. By sunrise, they packed their belongings and left, far from people, far from voices, far from shame. They built a small home near the edge of the river. No more doctors. No more prayer houses. No more shouting. Just peace. Just waiting. That was where they stayed, silent and together. No laughter. No visitors. Just the quiet hope that one day, things might change. And the river, always flowing, like time that never stops. In a different town called Oyo, there lived a young girl named Favor. Her skin glowed like early sunlight, and her hair fell down her back like palm fronds swaying in the wind. When Favor walked through the village, even goats paused to stare. Boys followed her with their eyes. Grown men mumbled under their breath. Her friends would always say, "Favor, you're too fine. If I had your face, I'd marry a rich man." Even traders in the market would say, "This one can't be from this village. She looks like city wealth." Her parents adored her. Her mother prepared her meals with care. Her father made sure she never lacked anything. But Favor didn't feel that love. At home, it was always orders. Favor, sweep the yard. Favor, fetch water. Favor, wash the dishes. She would roll her eyes and snap, am I a maid? Why are they treating me like a servant? Favor longed to be free. She wanted to wear what she liked, go where she pleased, and make her own choices. But at home, there were rules. One evening, her parents sat together in quiet talk. Their voices low and serious. They said something simple. Our daughter. But that small sentence entered Favor's heart like a sharp thorn. Her face darkened. That night, while the house was silent and everyone was fast asleep, she quietly gathered her things. Just a small bag, some clothes, her mirror, and a jar of cream. She scribbled a short note and left it by the door. I've gone to search for a better life. Don't try to find me. And then, she disappeared. Just like that. Morning had not even broken. The rooster hadn't crowed yet when her parents saw the note. Panic gripped them. They screamed her name, ran from street to street, shouting, Favor! Favor, come back! But it was too late. She was already gone, like steam fading into the air. Favor followed the road, walking for hours. Her feet began to throb, but she didn't stop. She kept moving. She was determined. Eventually, she reached a new town. She didn't know a single soul there. But she didn't care. Her face spoke for her. Her beauty was loud, like a drumbeat. People noticed. Her figure made strangers turn their heads twice. Her walk flowed like music. When she smiled, men stared at her like bees drawn to sugar. Even the women whispered among themselves. Who is this girl? Still, they couldn't look away. Favor found a small place to stay. Just one room. Nothing fancy, but it was neat and hers. She bought new clothes, tiny skirts that swayed with the wind, tight dresses that shaped her body. She painted her lips in bold colors, styled her hair in ways she never could at home, and wore perfumes that lingered like sweet blossoms in the breeze. The best part? No one gave her orders. Nobody said, sweep this place. Nobody said, cover yourself. She slept whenever she liked. She woke up when she pleased. She laughed without holding back. Every day felt like celebration. She made new friends, other young women who loved to enjoy life. They painted their nails, danced to loud music, and posed for pictures by the roadside. One afternoon, as she strolled past a massive mansion, a man dressed in white with a heavy gold chain around his neck noticed her. His eyes followed her every move like a hawk hunting its prey. His name was Chief Mike Will. And that moment marked the beginning of a new chapter. Chief Mike Will wasn't just wealthy, he was soaked in riches. His homes were as grand as palaces. His cars filled the compound like cattle at feeding time. He had 4 wives already and 7 daughters. But no son. That lack of a male child troubled him deeply. No heir. No one to carry on his legacy. No boy to take over when he was gone. Each time he sat in his chair, he would grumble. What's the use of all this wealth if I have no son? His wives had tried. They fasted. They prayed. They visited prophets. They begged. Still, only daughters came. One afternoon, Chief Mike Will spotted Favor walking past a large supermarket. Her waist swayed like a rope dancing in the breeze. Her skin glowed like yam freshly peeled and dipped in water. His heart skipped a beat. Who is that young woman? He asked his driver. I don't know, sir, the driver replied. Find out, Chief Mike Will said without delay. It didn't take long. 2 weeks later, Favor stepped into his compound, dressed in a bright red wrapper. Her face was glowing with makeup and confidence. Beautiful lady, Chief Mike Will greeted her with a smile. Powerful man, Favor laughed softly. He spoiled her with gold. He gave her bundles of cash. He treated her like she was the only woman who mattered. I want you as my wife, he said one evening. Favor's eyes widened. Wife? You mean a real wife? Yes, he replied. The one who will give me what others could not. Favor leaned closer to him, her voice low and gentle, like a breeze whispering through dry leaves. I will give you a son, my king. That same night, the traditional wedding took place. There was music, drumming, and joyful dancing. Guests arrived with gifts. The entire compound was filled with celebration. When Favor moved into the house, the other wives stared at her silently. They noticed how the chief treated her differently. They saw the way he laughed only in her presence. Even the servants respected her. Her bed sheets were changed daily, and her room smelled of rosewater and admiration. Every morning, Chief Michael would place his hand gently on her belly. My queen, he would say. My son is on the way. Just like that, Favor became the most important wife in the household. One early morning, before the birds began to sing, Favor jumped out of bed and rushed to the toilet. She vomited 3 times. Her legs trembled. Her heart raced. She held her stomach and smiled. It has happened. The maids hurried to wake Chief Michael. Sir, Madam isn't feeling well, they said. He leapt from his bed like an excited child. What's wrong with her? What does she need? When the doctor arrived and checked her, he gave a pleased smile. Congratulations, sir. She is expecting a baby. Chief Michael threw his hands in the air and shouted, Ha! My son is coming. He clapped his hands and danced across the compound. Call the drummers. Call the cooks. Let this house taste joy today. From that day, everything changed, like dry harmattan turning into sweet rainfall. Favor no longer walked on her own. She was carried like royalty. Her food was prepared fresh every 2 hours, spicy chicken pepper soup, chilled pineapple water, soft yam with palm oil, whatever she asked for, she received. Her room was swept 3 times a day. Her bedsheets carried the scent of fresh flowers. Even her bath water was always warm and filled with sweet-smelling herbs. The other wives watched from the sidelines. Their eyes were sharp with jealousy. Their smiles were thin and fake. They gathered in corners of the compound, whispering with bitterness stuck in their throats. So now, just because she's pregnant, she will take all the chief's attention? Let's wait and see what she'll deliver. But Favor didn't pay them any mind. Each time Chief Michael placed his hand on her belly, she smiled proudly. My son is kicking, she would say. And Chief Michael would close his eyes, nodding like a priest in prayer. Yes, my heir is strong. Even the townspeople began to murmur. Favor has done what the others couldn't. She is truly blessed. She's the chosen one. Favor would often stand in front of the mirror, gently rubbing her belly. Then she would whisper quietly, almost threatening. You must be a boy. You better be. If you come as a useless girl, you won't like what I'll become. She believed it with all her heart. Because in her mind, she wasn't just carrying a child, she was carrying a crown. Then, one quiet night when the moon hung full and heavy in the sky, Favor's scream tore through the silence. Ah! It's coming! It's coming, she cried. The midwives rushed in with cloths and herbal mixtures. Chief Michael stood outside, pacing like a restless lion. Inside the room, sweat poured down Favor's face. Her fingers gripped the mat. Her voice shook the walls. And then, the baby came. The room went still. A soft cry rose, like a kitten mewing for milk. One of the midwives looked down at the child. Her face changed. The head midwife leaned closer and frowned. She wiped the baby, wrapped her, then leaned close to Favor and whispered. It's a girl. Favor sat up quickly. What? She shouted. No. Check again, it has to be a mistake. But the midwife shook her head. Madam, it's a baby girl. Favor's smile disappeared. Her face hardened. Her eyes went cold. I promised him a son, she said slowly. I told him I would give him a boy. She took the baby with trembling hands. The child's small eyes blinked softly. Her tiny fingers curled in the air. Her skin was smooth, like a gussie before it's ground. But Favor couldn't smile. She couldn't whisper thank God. Then she turned to the midwives, her voice full of panic. Please. I heard another woman gave birth tonight. In that small hut behind the compound. I heard she had a boy. Let us switch. Take my daughter. Give me her son. Please, help me. The women stood in silence. They exchanged glances, then turned back to her. One of them stepped forward and said gently, Madam, we don't exchange babies. This is your child. Carry her. Favor stared down at the child. The little girl yawned, calm, innocent, unaware of the storm brewing around her. But Favor's heart was restless. This was not the child she had prayed for. Later that night, when the drumming had stopped and the compound had gone silent, Favor opened her door quietly. The baby was wrapped in soft cloth. Her eyes were closed, but her breathing was steady, gentle and sweet, like morning breeze. Favor didn't hold her like a mother would. She carried her like a secret. The compound was still. Even the dogs were silent. Only the frogs croaked faintly in the bushes, and the baby's soft cries filled the air, low, broken sounds, like she could sense something was wrong. The river behind the house stretched wide and dark, moving slowly, as if lost in thought. Favor walked to the edge. Her bare feet touched the cold, wet mud. The baby whimpered again, quietly, as if pleading. Her face was smooth. Her mouth opened and closed, hungry for milk. Favor looked down at her. I can't raise a girl, she whispered. A girl brings nothing but disappointment. I promised him a boy, a prince, not this. She lifted her hands. Then, splash. She flung the baby into the river. The water opened up and accepted the child without a sound. No fight. No resistance. Just quiet ripples as it carried her away. The soft cloth floated for a moment, then vanished. Favor wiped her palms on her wrapper. Her face showed no emotion. No tears. No regret. Just silence. She walked back slowly, like someone returning from a market, empty-handed. But her thoughts were loud. What will I say? What if he wants to see the body? What if they start asking questions? She stopped near the kitchen. There, she picked a dirty cloth from the floor, dipped it in water, rubbed it across her chest, then smeared some on her thighs. Inside the room, Chief Michael was sitting up. His eyes were swollen from sleep, but his voice trembled with hope. My queen, is it a boy? Favor paused. She touched her stomach, as if it still carried life. Then, slowly, she gave a weak cry. She covered her face with her palms and sat at the edge of the bed. It was a boy, she whispered. Her voice cracked. She sniffed and allowed one single tear to fall. Chief Michael's heart leapt. A boy? Then, where is he? What happened? Favor turned her face away. Her body shook gently, like dry leaves in harmattan wind. He didn't make it, she said, voice barely rising. He passed just after he came out. He didn't even cry long. Just a breath, then silence. She began to weep loudly now, fake tears, but loud enough to sound real. Chief Michael opened his mouth wide. He clutched his chest. Then he reached for her hand. He didn't argue. He didn't ask to see the body. He believed her. His voice was low and filled with sorrow. The gods give, and the gods take away. He pulled her close and whispered, we'll try again. You gave me hope once. You'll give me hope again, my queen, my queen. Favor rested her head on his chest. But deep inside, her heart was heavy. She hadn't buried a son. She had buried her shame. But the gods had seen it all. And the river was not asleep. That night, the water moved slowly, quietly, like it was carrying a secret beneath its surface. Wrapped in cloth, the baby floated. Her tiny arms waved. Her mouth opened in soft cries, like a kitten lost in the woods. But the river didn't swallow her. No. It carried her gently, like a mother tying her baby to her back. She passed tall trees. She passed silent farmlands. She passed sleeping houses. The stars watched from above. The wind moved beside her. And the river whispered softly, "Go, go, go." Just before the first cockcrow, the river reached Yola town. Eunice and James were outside their small hut. Sleep had escaped them, the night too quiet to rest. Then, wah, wah. They froze. "Did you hear that?" James asked, standing up quickly. Eunice's eyes widened. "That's a baby." They ran barefoot toward the river, their hearts pounding like drums. There, at the river's edge, caught between two sticks, was the baby. Cold. Soaked. Crying. Eunice gasped. "A baby, oh God." She scooped the child into her arms and held her tightly against her chest. The baby stopped crying. She blinked slowly, as if she understood she was safe now. Tears streamed down Eunice's cheeks. "God has remembered me," she said. "After all these years, He has answered me." James knelt beside them. His hand shook as he touched the baby's cheek. "She's beautiful," he whispered. They carried her home, wrapped her in warm cloth, boiled water, and gave her milk. As the sun began to rise, Eunice looked at James with joy in her eyes. "We will call her Miracle," she said. "The child we waited for. The one who came from God." And from that day forward, Miracle became their daughter. The river had taken her once. But now, she belonged to love. Years passed, flowing like a calm stream. Miracle grew quickly, tall, clever, and full of light. Her laughter sounded like music. Her smile was soft, like morning dew resting on fresh grass. Eunice and James raised her with genuine love, the kind that wraps around you like a warm wrapper on a cold harmattan night. She fetched water without being told. She swept the compound. She helped in the kitchen. She never grumbled. "Thank you, Mama," she would say. "Yes, Papa," she would answer, every single time. Each morning before the sun rose, Miracle would kneel beside the firewood pile and whisper a simple prayer. "God, use me to help people." The villagers adored her. At the health center, she assisted the nurses. She cleaned wounds, fed the weak, and sang softly to crying children. Sick people smiled just from her touch. They called her Miracle, the girl with mercy in her hands. Even the crops around Eunice and James's home flourished more than others. "Maybe it's her spirit," the farmers said. "She brings peace wherever she steps." Children followed her like chicks behind a hen. Old women blessed her when they passed her on the road. Young men admired her from afar, but they dared not come too close. Her presence was bright, beautiful, but sacred. But Miracle knew nothing about the river. She didn't know the truth about her beginning. She believed she was just a simple girl from Yola, the only daughter of James and Eunice. She didn't know that once, her name had been cast away. But light cannot hide forever. One day, truth would rise, just like the morning sun. Far away, in Oyo, where the sun once lit up grand compounds, things began to shift. In Chief Mikewill's house, an early morning began with silence. The maids knocked on his door. "Chief? Chief?" No answer. They opened it gently. He was lying still, eyes closed, hands resting on his chest. Chief Michewill had passed in his sleep. No cries. No panic. Just silence. His brothers came like hungry dogs. They divided his lands, his farms, his houses, and his money. The once lively compound grew quiet. One by one, the wives packed their loads and left, like birds fleeing a dry tree. Favor was the last to remain. Her daughters had grown. They were married and had moved far away. Sometimes they sent messages. But they never returned. Not even for a day. Favor sat alone in the large house. The same house that once echoed with laughter and pride was now full of silence. Dust covered the furniture. Cobwebs danced from the ceilings. The mirrors had lost their shine. Then, strange things began. At night, under the full moon, she would hear it, a baby's cry. But there was no child in the house. She would wake in sweat, whispering, "Who is that?" No reply. Only the soft wah, wah, of a child. Her skin began to change. Dark patches. Rashes. Her fingers lost their color. Her lips cracked. She visited doctors, one in the city, one in the village, even a herbalist by the roadside. They all said the same thing. "Madam, we don't understand this illness." She took injections. She drank bitter roots. She fasted. She wept. But her body kept decaying, slowly, painfully. Her bones grew weak. Her spirit sank. One night, she stared into a mirror and whispered, "What is happening to me?" But the mirror gave no answer. Only the walls replied, with the soft cry of a baby and the quiet sound of a river that never forgets. One slow night, the house was still. Favor sat in her room. Her back was bent. Her skin itched. Her breathing was short. A weak lantern burned beside her. She had not eaten. Her hands trembled. Then, knock. A sound at the door. She jumped. Knock. 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 "Who is there?" she asked, her voice faint and broken. No answer. She opened the door slowly. Standing there was a woman. Her wrapper was white. Her eyes were sharp, like a blade. Her feet were bare, though the ground was dry. She looked like someone who had come from nowhere. The woman spoke. Her voice wasn't loud, but it filled the air. "You are dying." Favor's knees gave way. "What? Who are you?" "What do you mean?" she asked. The woman stepped closer. "The river remembers," she said. "What you threw away is still alive. And she is the only one who can save you." Favor opened her mouth, but no sound came. "You have until the next new moon," the woman said. "If she does not bless you, you will die." Then, without another word, she turned and walked into the darkness. Favor rushed out, barefoot, calling after her. "Wait. Please. Who are you?" But there was nothing. No voice. No shadow. No footprints. Only the night. Only the stillness. Only the river, whispering softly in the distance. Find her before it is too late. The next morning, before the cock could crow, Favor tied her head with an old faded scarf, picked up a small bag, and stepped out of the house. Inside that bag was the only thing she had kept from that night long ago, the small charm bracelet the baby once wore on her ankle. It was made of red thread, tied with tiny cowries. Her face looked worn. Her skin was dry. Her body was weak. But her heart pounded fast. "I must find her," she whispered. "I must live." And so, she began to walk. One town. Then another. Then a third. She knocked on doors. "Please," she begged. "Do you know a girl who came from the river? Do you know this bracelet?" Some people slammed their doors. Others chased her away like a madwoman. One man even poured water on her and shouted, "Leave." Which? She fainted on the roadside once. Then again. And again. Some strangers gave her water. A kind woman handed her bread. But her body was no longer strong. Her feet were swollen, like yam roasting in a fire. Her eyes were red, like hot charcoal. Her breath came in short, painful bursts. Still, she kept moving. She walked through rain. Through sun. through bush paths and dry roads. Her slippers tore. Her voice cracked. Every night, she counted the days with small stones. 1, 2, 3. Then, with just 6 days left before the new moon, she arrived at the town of Yola. As she entered, the breeze kissed her skin. The nearby river hummed softly, like it had been waiting. She looked around slowly and whispered, lips trembling, "This place, it feels familiar." But the river said nothing. It only flowed, watching, waiting. That afternoon, Yola was buzzing with excitement. The village square overflowed with joy. Drums pounded. People danced. Women ululated. Children ran in circles. Colorful banners waved in the air as voices shouted, "Miracle! Miracle!" She had been accepted to study medicine in Lagos. The entire town was proud of her, the girl they all loved. The girl with light in her hands. The girl from the river. She stood in the center of it all, smiling. Her hair was neatly braided. Her white dress glowed like morning light. As she danced, the anklet on her leg jingled softly. It was the same charm bracelet tied long ago, with red thread and cowries. Favor had just entered the square. Her body was covered in dust. Her wrapper was torn. Her lips dry and cracked like burnt soil. She looked up, her eyes caught the anklet. Her mouth dropped open. Her legs wobbled. Her chest beat like a talking drum in heavy rain. No, it can't be, it can't. Then her knees gave way. She fell hard to the ground. Her hands hit the earth. Her head bowed. But she didn't stop. She began to crawl. People turned. Who is that woman? Where did she come from? Is she mad? But Favor didn't care. Her hands reached forward. She pointed at Miracle. Her voice shook, like dry leaves rustling in harmattan wind. "My child, my daughter, please. I am dying." Miracle stopped dancing. She turned slowly. Her smile faded. Her eyes locked onto the woman crawling on the ground. And for the first time, her heart felt something it had never felt before, something deep, something nameless. The drums went silent. The music stopped. Even the birds froze in the trees. All eyes were on Favor. Her wrapper was soaked in dust. Her face wet with tears. Her hands trembled as they stretched toward Miracle. Miracle stood still, her chest pounding like thunder in the sky. Then Favor began to speak. Her voice cracked, like dry firewood snapping in flame. "I gave birth, many years ago. I promised a man a son." Her chest rose and fell. The crowd leaned in. "But, it was a girl. And I walked to the river, and I threw her in." Gasps broke out in the crowd. A woman covered her mouth. A man stepped away slowly. You are the one," Favor said, voice breaking. "You were that child. The river did not take you. It gave you to another. You lived. You became light." She broke down in sobs. "And I am dying. They said only your blessing can save me. Please, please, before the new moon comes. I don't want to die." The village square fell silent, quiet like a graveyard. No one moved. Behind Miracle, Eunice and James stood, their faces calm but steady. Suddenly, a woman rushed forward, trying to block Miracle's path. "Don't go near her. This woman is evil," she cried, shielding Miracle with her arms. But Eunice lifted her hand slowly and nodded, gently, the way a mother does when she knows a child must face something only she can answer. Miracle looked at the woman kneeling in the dust. Her eyes began to water. The air was thick. Even the wind stood still. She walked slowly, step by step, toward Favor. Her eyes were filled with pain. Her hands trembled. Her lips pressed tightly together, like they were holding back a storm. She stopped in front of Favor and, in a voice soft but steady, she said, "You tried to destroy me." Favor lifted her head. Her mouth quivered. Her face was streaked with dust and tears. "But God kept me alive," Miracle continued. The villagers remained frozen. No one spoke. No one moved. Favor broke into deeper sobs, like a baby crying for milk. "Please, just bless me," she begged. "I don't want to die." Miracle slowly bent down. She placed her hand on Favor's head, her fingers light, her eyes full. "I forgive you," she whispered, her voice cracking like shattered glass. "Let heaven hear it, let the earth bear witness." Then, she stood up. She turned her gaze toward the river in the distance and whispered, "But your peace is not from me alone. Go and ask the river if it has also forgiven you." Just then, the wind returned. Favor, still kneeling, began to breathe more easily. Her shoulders stopped shaking. Her skin, once pale and fading, began to glow with life again. Color returned to her cheeks. Her hands stopped trembling. She looked up at Miracle with eyes full of grateful tears. But Miracle said nothing more. She turned around and walked away. She had given her blessing. But not her heart. She didn't smile. She didn't look back. Because some wounds are not for humans to heal, only God can touch them. Moral of the story: the child you abandon may be the one who returns to save your life. Life does not forget. Forgiveness brings healing, but it does not erase the memory of wickedness. If you enjoyed this tale, please like the video, share it with your family and friends, leave a comment, and don't forget to subscribe to the channel.